No, you're good. Someone from my second period is the one that left it out. I just didn't want it to like get lost. All right, so I'm on the back side of that graphic organizer. Now, like I said, with the addition and subtraction, okay, the biggest takeaway from addition and subtraction is that it's all about those common denominators. All right. Finding the common denominator, in my opinion, is probably the hardest part. Okay. And in reality, it's honestly not that hard either. So, with addition and subtraction, first off, you would find the least common denominator. So, in this case, the least common denominator is your friend. But if you can't find the least, as long as you have a common denominator, it'll work. It's just you have to do a lot more simplifying. Then we got to factor out our denominators. So by factoring the denominators, that's what helps us find our least common denominator. And then each factor must be included in the common denominator. And I'll explain what that means in a second. Then we rewrite the fraction using the least common denominator. So that's like where we had to multiply by what we're missing to get the common denominator. And then we just add the numerators. And all we do for that is combine like terms. So remember, if you have a fraction AB, it's essentially the same fraction if you multiply the same value to the top and the bottom. Same thing if you're doing A over B plus C over B. It's the same thing as A plus C over B. You can combine them all into one fraction. Now, something else you need to note is do not simplify until the end. So simplification will be the very, very, very last thing that you do. Because what happens is, once you find a common denominator, you have to multiply by a factor to get the common denominator. But what I see happen a lot is some people start to like crossing out at that point. And in reality, what's going to happen is you'll end up what you started with. Okay? So the crossing out simplification, you are not doing until the very, very end. That'll literally be our last step. All right. Now, I will warn you now, these problems can get a little lengthy, so write small. Okay? I'm just warning you. Trust me. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is, in order to find our common denominator, we first got to figure out what our factors are that make up our two denominators. So we're going to factor both of our denominators. All right. So we know we got to make a big X. So let's see who's going to give me what goes in the big X. I got a new tool too. So you guys said you didn't like popsicles, so I got me a randomizer. So Kaden. So Kaden, what's going in my big X? What goes on top? For the yellow highlighted. 20 on top, because that's 8 times C. What goes on the bottom? Negative 9. And what are two factors of 20 that add to negative 9? Dylan, help him out. Negative 5, negative 4. Good. Now, since the A value is 1, you can just go ahead and write your factors. But if you still like to keep things consistent with the snowflake method, you just write 1x on top because that's AX. And since they can't simplify, you just write them as they are. So this would be x minus 3 over x minus 5 times x minus 4. So I'm just rewriting that fraction with my factored denominator. Then the green highlighted. Let's go with, not here, Dylan P. All right. So Dylan, what goes on top? Bottom? And what are two factors that multiply to 8, add to -6? -2, -4. Good. Put the x on top. Rewrite them. This would be plus, don't forget about the plus, 2 over x minus 2, x minus 4. Now, once we have our denominators factored, here's how you figure out what the least common denominator is. You look at both of the denominators together. And essentially, you have your least common denominator if you write out all the factors between both denominators and you take out the repeats. All right? So what do you think my least common denominator would be? If I just rewrite those denominator factors and I take out the one that repeats. So be x minus 2, that's the first part. What else? What else is down there in the blue? So I took care of the x minus 2. What else is down there? X minus 4. So I took care of the x minus 4. And again, we don't want the repeat. So we're going to say that's already taken care of. Then what's the last thing I need? What's the only factor left over? X minus 5. So guess what? You just found your least common denominator. That's all you got to do. You write out whatever factors are in between both denominators and you take out the ones that repeat. All right? So since x minus 4 repeats, you only have to write it once in your least common denominator. So again, if you want to actually write it, you write out all the factors and take out repeats. So now what we're going to do is, that means both of my functions or expressions will have this denominator on the bottom. So I'm just rewriting it. I haven't done anything with the numerators yet. I'm just rewriting my common denominators. So I just have it already out. And guys, leave it in factored form. Don't try to do like a double box method or anything. You don't need to do that just yet. So once you get your common denominator, leave it in factored form. Now, the next step is just a game of what's missing. All right. So this is kind of like with the fractions, like the numerical ones, where you had to figure out what you need to multiply to the bottom to get our common denominator. Well, same thing. We're still multiplying something, but in reality, we're multiplying whatever's missing from our original denominator. So for example, if I look at the first one, to the left side, so this one right here, between that denominator and my common denominator, what's missing? So between this denominator and this denominator, what's missing? X minus 2. So guess what I'm multiplying by? X minus 2. So guys, it's literally a guessing game of what is missing. And it's not even a guessing game. You look at both denominators, you ask yourself, okay, if this is my least common denominator and this is my current denominator, which factor am I missing? And that's what you multiply by. So I'm just going to write this as x minus 3 times x minus 2. And again, do not simplify. So don't cross out those two x minus 2's because then we just end up with what we started with. All right, let's look at the right function. So if I'm looking at this denominator compared to my least common, what's missing? X minus 5. So guess what I'm multiplying by? X minus 5 over x minus 5. So this will just be 2 times x minus 5. And I already wrote my common denominator with the x minus 5 at the bottom. Now, here's the nice thing. I can now combine this all into one big fraction. So I still got my common denominator. That doesn't change. But then I just write this as x minus 3 times x minus 2 plus 2 times x minus 5. Now, everything that we're doing now is going to be in the numerator only. All right? The denominator is just going to chill for a little bit. We're not going to touch it at all. Okay? So we got to do some simplifying up in the numerator. What's one place where I can definitely simplify? Or do some, operations. We could distribute the 2. And then there's one other thing. No crossing. Because we got that plus. Remember, plus there are married. If they have a plus between them, they're married. You cannot separate them if you tried. Couldn't I also simplify this? Isn't that just a box method? Yeah, it is. So if I did a quick box, x minus 3, x minus 2, so this is x squared minus 3x minus 2x, 6. And again, I'm doing this fast because you guys should, at this point, be able to do a box or foil or whatever you prefer. So I'm going to rewrite my answer down here. So this is x squared minus 5x, because negative 2 plus negative 3, plus 6. Then I distribute the 2x to the second part. So this would be plus 2x minus 10. And then all over that common denominator. Now again, still only messing around with the numerator. So what do you think I'm going to do to simplify the numerator now? So ignore the denominator. I'm just looking at this numerator. What do you think I'm going to do to simplify that? Combine like terms. So my like terms are my x's. They're also my constants. And then the x squared is just kind of by itself. So this would be x squared minus 3x minus 4 all over that common denominator. Now, we're not quite done yet. I told you it's a lengthy process. The last thing you got to do is simplify. So, guess what you got to do with this numerator now? If we want to get to where we can cross stuff out. Big X again. Now, I know you guys are fairly comfortable with big X by now, so I'm just going to do it quickly. So, A times C is negative 4. My B value is negative 3. The two numbers that multiply together to give me negative 4, but add to give me negative 3 is negative 4 and positive 1. Throw an X on top. So this would be x minus 4 over x plus 1 all over my common denominator. So what crosses out? What's gone? So remember, it's 1 to 1, top and bottom. So what factor do I have in both the top and the bottom that I can cross out? The x minus 4s are gone. So my answer is x plus 1 over x minus 2 times x minus 5. Now, if you get to here, I'm happy. If you want to go a step further, though, you can box the denominator, which I can just do very quickly. You don't have to. I'm just saying that if you want to, go for it. If not, I don't care. So this is x squared minus 7x plus 10. So this is like the completely simplified form. But if you get to here, Miss Murphy's a happy camper. All right. So I want you to get it down to where it's completely simplified. You've added everything. You got that common denominator. And you crossed out everything at the end that you can. So like I said, guys, it's a lengthy process. But really the only thing that's new about this is getting that common denominator. Everything else is stuff that you learned in some capacity at some point, either during this class or in some of your other math classes. So like factoring, combining like terms, box methods, stuff like that. All right. So all of that, those skills, nothing new. The only hard part, or quote unquote hard part, is finding that common denominator, which in reality, it's just a game of, okay, what factors do I have? There's my common denominator. Any questions on that? All right, let's do one more and then we'll go on break. So letter B. Now, difference between this one and the one we did previously is that instead of a plus, it's a minus. So get in the habit of changing this to plus and throwing the minus up into the second numerator. The reason I'm telling you to do that is, let's say this was, hypothetically, you don't need to write this down, but let's say that was 4 plus x up top. What would you have to do with that minus? Distribute that negative. All right. So make sure that should be like the very first thing you do. Go ahead and distribute the negative. If there's anything to distribute. In this case, we just have to make the 4 negative. All right. And the reason I tell you guys to do that is just so you don't forget about the minus later. Just go ahead and take care of it at the beginning. Now, this one's a little bit quicker because you don't really have to do any big x's. Okay. So let's look at our two denominators. We're just going to go ahead and factor our two denominators. So let's go with Julian. So if I look at my first denominator, so the yellow one, what type of polynomial is that? So first off, how many terms? So it could possibly be a what? It's a binomial, but what could be a possible factoring method? DOS. Difference of squares. Good. Now, it is a difference of squares. So that just means we have to take the square root of the first, square root of the last, and then separate those terms by a plus and minus. So Julian, what is my a value? So if I do 4x squared, what's the square root of that? 2 what? 2x. Square root of x squared is x. What about 1? What's the square root of 1? 1. So my new denominator, I have the x plus 3 up top. My new denominator would be 2x plus 1, 2x minus 1. So don't forget to put the plus 1. A lot of y'all put the minus 1 for like the minus version, but you forget to put the plus version. Remember, you got to have two factors for a difference of squares. Now, our second one, we know we're going to have negative 4 on top. But how would I factor the blue? Let's go with Zach. So looking at the blue highlighted. First off, it's only 2 terms, but does that look like a difference of squares to you? No. There's no x squared, there's no x cubed, so it can't be either of those. However, what's something that we always have to look for whenever we factor? What's like the... So whenever we factor, we always start by looking for what? GCF. Good. Is there a GCF here? It'd be 5. So we would factor out the GCF. Remember, guys, GCF factoring is still factoring. So if you can take a GCF out, that's technically factoring. So we divide both terms by 5. So that'll give me 2x plus 1. And do not forget to write the GCF as part of your factor. All right? A lot of y'all forget to do that. Make sure you write the GCF outside of whatever you got when you divided that GCF into the 2 terms. Now, we got enough info to get my least common denominator. So I'm looking just straight across at both my denominators. Someone tell me one factor that's going to be in my denominator, common denominator. 2x plus 1. So 2x plus 1 is there. So we took care of, if it helps, just cross them out as you go, okay? Or just like write a little dash underneath it. So the 2x plus 1, and we don't want repeats. We've already covered those. What else is still left in that denominator that we haven't said yet? 2x minus 1. So we covered that one, and there's one more value in the denominator that we haven't said. Yep. 5 is technically a factor, so that's part of it. So guys, that's literally how you find your common denominator. You look between, heads up guys, you look between both your denominators, and you just go through and say, okay, there's a 2x plus 1, and repeat, so that covers for both if I state it once. There's a 2x minus 1, so I need that. There's a 5, so I need that. And lo and behold, you got your common denominator. That's all you gotta do. All right? Now, it's the what's missing game. So, I have 5 times 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 1. And then 5 times 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 1. So I'm just writing my common denominators. Now we're playing the what's missing game. So if I'm looking at my first fraction, all right, between this denominator and this denominator, what am I missing? Let's go with Wyatt. So if we look at the first fraction here, if I'm looking at this denominator and my least common denominator, what's missing? The 5. So that means I'm multiplying top and the bottom by 5. So we already multiplied by the 5 on the bottom, so this will be 5 times x minus 3. Plus 3, sorry. All right. Same thing we're going to do over here with the second fraction. If we're looking at the denominator of the second fraction and our least common denominator, all right, what is missing, Layla? The 2x plus 1 or the 2x minus 1? 2x minus 1, good. So we multiply the top and the bottom by the 2x minus 1. All right, I just didn't hear you. So this would be negative 4 times 2x minus 1. Now we can do some simplifying, and this is a really easy simplification because what do I have to do for both numerators? I only have to do what? For both numerators, I only have to do what? Distribute, that's it. I don't have to do any box methods, nothing like that. I just have to distribute in the top. So I'm going to rewrite this as one big fraction with my common denominator on the bottom. Again, it's just kind of chilling. It's not doing anything. We're not touching it just yet. And then I want to write out my distributed values. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 3 is positive 15. Negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. So this is why I said put the negative up there because we're already taking care of it. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. So now what's the last thing I got to do with my numerator? Combine the like terms. So the x's get combined and the constants get combined. And again, we ain't touching that denominator. So 5 times 2x plus 1 over 2x minus 1. So this would be negative 3x plus 19. Now, we would then have to check to see if we can factor the numerator, but since we don't have any squares in there, so like there's no x squares, and 3 and 19 obviously don't have anything in common, we can leave it just like that, and we're done. All right. So that's a way you can kind of tell if you're done. Like if you don't have an x squared, you're probably not using big X or difference of squares. If you just see an x and a constant, check for GCF. If there's not one, you're done. All right. Now, if you wanted to take a step further, you could have box method and then distribute the bottom. But here's a little trick. You technically already know what 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 1 is because it's what we started with originally. Then you just got to multiply 5 to it. So this would have been negative 3x plus 19 over 20x squared minus 5. Again, if you get here, I'm happy. Because Murphy is a happy camper if you can get to that point, what's in the green. All right, any questions on this? So when we come back, we're going to do kind of a relay with that last problem where you guys are trying it on your own, but we're kind of doing, I'll explain when you guys get back. All right. So I'll explain what we're doing when we get back. So I'm giving you guys your 3-minute break. Again, you cannot walk the halls. You can use the restroom, but you need to be back by the time this timer goes off. You can take a then a half nap.
Ooh, okay. I'm so tired. Oh my god. I'm never gonna have that again. It's like 1 a.m. Hi, 11. No, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I was what did you do? No, I was asking what she was looking at. So you know, she didn't get it. Six?
When you get out of the lane, it's like you guys deserve that. It's going through like a really hard time.
Okay, did you answer 6?
All right, so here's what we're going to do. So for the problem that says your turn, we're going to kind of do what we did on Friday. Okay, so the relay problem type of thing. Okay, so what you're going to do is at your group whiteboard, all right, I would not work it out on your paper first because when we go over, you want to make sure you have all the correct stuff on there. All right, so on your group whiteboard, you're going to, you know, one person, everyone's gonna have a different color marker. You're going to, one person does one step, next person does the next step, so on and so forth until the problem's done. All right, so exactly what we did on Friday. All right, but adding, subtracting, and multiplying, dividing. Okay, I'll give you guys about 10 minutes for this first problem, and we'll see where we're at after 10 minutes. All right, so you're doing the your turn. So that last problem on that green page, and your 10 minutes is gonna start now. Now again, take your time. If it takes a little longer than 10 minutes, that's fine. We're just starting with 10. Now you guys don't have different color markers. Just, go grab it and go mark it. So start by factory, go denominator.
I'm gonna do the x2 plus 8x minus 2. Or whatever.
Yeah, that person's not a factory. Oh my house. Thanks, No,
Yo, y'all need to chill out. So we can have more space, right? Yo, Jack, TV. Snowflake. Wow. Snowflake.
Don't mess up my phone.
Hey, can y'all do y'all one, please? Get out of here, please. Dylan, can you get your
What?
Yes, you're right. That's it. Yo, I'm looking at our answers, please.
So guys, even though you're doing the same problem, get on your own.
Oh my god, I got it. Oh my god, did you get it? Wait, one of them's gotta be next.
What do you mean? Wait, what does he mean? What does he mean?
Well, I got the first one factory correctly.
No, this is.
So now most of the pages in this one, so Brian, what do you think?
This would be just the snowflake.
Is that not changed?
Yeah, right. I'm bothering you. I take offense.
Okay, boys, first off, that first fraction, what are you beginning in the denominator?
Wouldn't be a plus.
So you factor Sure.
She is. She was just gonna say we're at.
So now it's just a matter of.
I think it's actually.
Thought.
Alright.
It's writing out. You don't cross out. Yeah.
I wake up. That's
Wait, no.
Alright, good job, guys. So now your least common denominator. So if you're looking at the entire two denominators, all you're doing is just listing out the factors you see. And if there's a repeat, you only gotta list it once.
Miss Murphy, can you come help us when you get done? Because I don't know where to go from here.
Well, it's a different squares. So you got an x minus 2 and.
These common denominators.
So you gotta add x plus 2 too.
Yeah.
Is that the right order?
Oh, okay. I'll be right there.
Zach, what did you say? What did you just say?
Yo, do your work, baby. That's what I thought. Stop being the last thing.
I'll take care of the cake now.
Or two.
Yeah. You're so done, bro. You got something to say.
Yo, so that's a good too. Yo, I don't
Exactly.
That's 1%. No.
Wow.
And then the guy
Why not?
right here.
Okay, so.
Yo, why are you going?
I'm not looking at your work. What were you just doing? Nothing. He's doing nothing. Okay. Hey, Miss Murphy, I don't know where to go.
I'll be right there.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna have that.
We get to work.
Gary, do you right?
We work hard.
So you got these common denominators, so now you're playing the what's missing game.
What is this?
No.
I'm
So we changed that.
I'm saying,
Good, negative. Okay, what now?
Okay, so now it's you're writing. Yeah, now you're rewriting with this denominator. So now you're playing the what is missing. So you're figuring out what factors is missing from this denominator.
What was that?
It's multiplication.
No.
This is the fraction, so now you're looking at just the fractions individually.
Yeah, so this one's missing x plus 10, and then this one's missing x plus 2. Okay, that makes sense. I thought you meant
Why now?
No, you have to split it back in half.
Oh, that's not happening. Oh, so it's still fixed. Just like.
Alright, so now you're playing the what's missing. Okay, so in other words, the x between fractions you started with versus. Yes,
So, okay.
Just do x minus 7.
Yeah.
Plus 10 over. The x squared on the top.
What is that?
Different from the passes now.
-6.
Yeah, so that's
No, it's
Okay, and then distributed.
Hey,
stop looking at our work.
Miss Smith, like the counselor.
Oh, the it's almost. They, supposed to do passes for everything else.
What color is?
It's green, but we haven't put it in effect yet. It's not supposed to go into effect until after the fact.
I thought it was tomorrow.
We can get a straight answer. I have the stuff ready to go, I just gotta finish making it. You're done.
That goes straight to Alice right
X squared plus 10x. Just a straight.
Just turn right next to it.
Okay.
I
One
can't.
thing that I said that everyone messes up. What do you do? No. It's square, so you gotta have the minus version and. So that'll help out. That part not really, because you got the extra
Joe.
Now you're playing what's missing.
Why would we?
Here.
I did.
Oh my God.
Then you're here, what do you think?
Don't hit me. Let's beat Lady Gospel. I don't know, it wasn't my idea.
Alright, so here,
I'm figuring out. I'm
here's
just
gonna
figuring out what I'm
distribute
watching.
X is X, X is Alright, all of these terms has one big fraction. Make it into a fraction. Yep, those are the denominators. But it'll be all over.
Yeah.
So you make it one big.
Yeah, that's what I do. I think like 5
So like, we'll make it.
I think it's 6 minutes.
Well, you can burn it. That's why I said don't. That's why I said. So basically. No. So you don't cross. Yeah, so you cross, what happens is you.
Yeah, we like, he messes up there.
If I like text here, and you're gonna keep.
I thank you, Brandon. Thank you.
You're playing the ones missing. So you look at this denominator, this is what's missing. Yeah.
I did, I started calling me. Plus minus. Plus minus. It's a.
Other than this, it's actually.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know.
Yes, you're right.
X squared.
This one. I'll write that. Good job.
Yo, why are you?
But now you gotta just combine it.
Why are y'all cheating?
So just
What are you
so whatever, like.
I can still see those.
Yeah, remember the boards.
No, I am.
So if I combine 10x and 6x, what I get? Well, 10x minus 6x. So you write y squared plus 4x minus 4x. Back is numerator again, then you start crossing. Okay, so. I'll set you up and keep Don't worry, guys, keep working.
You want me to restart it?
Add 5 minutes.
I'm not a job though.
So then.
But.
Now, what you can do now is go back to the numerator. And then
Oh,
get.
shit. I agree.
So don't worry about this first, just factor that.
Sorry. Are we
No,
done?
this is not your house.
Woo, buddy. Is this right?
Yep. So you just gotta factor that.
What?
So you need to factor this to cross out.
Yes, I did.
It's a quick thing.
I did.
It doesn't even have a coefficient of numbers.
Yes, I did. I did 7.
I don't remember.
Wait, this is 4 turns.
Oh,
I see it.
I didn't so bad.
Maybe 6 hours.
So boys, or not just boys, but everyone, once you're happy with your answer, sit down.
We tried our best.
This is not right.
No, you're close.
Okay, now you write it. Stop doing that.
So the last one is, you gotta make sure it's simplified. You gotta factor the numerator again, and cross out.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So in other words, factor that numerator.
Oh, it's
And then write those factors out, cross out what you can.
We got no respect nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Your problem. You're already done. He's so worth it. Disrespect. Jackson, I thought the colors were like nice. Why is he so
We done?
That's it.
Kaden, stop looking at our phone.
Where's your talker with that?
You.
Over that song. Hey, I'm at circle pencils again. I swear you do. See, the AL was never that again. It was Tyreek. It was Tyreek the whole time. That's still
Tyreek.
I was literally writing. He had like a whole. No, he was.
It was Tyreek.
He had like a one of like 5 pencils in it. It was bad.
Kaden, is it 6?
Not funny. No one's laughing. They're not laughing with you.
All right, guys, I'm calling it. You guys move on.
6.
So, let's go over this together. All right. So, looking around the room, most of y'all got bare bones. So, good job. At least you got down to the simplifying stage. All right. So, most of you at the very least, guys, listen. Most of y'all at the very least got down to the simplification stage. All right. So, let's just walk through this together. So, let's go with Dylan L. How'd you factor the first denominator? So the x squared minus 4. So it would be what? Good. X plus 2, x minus 2. All right. Now remember, guys, you got to turn this into a plus, bring the minus up so you don't forget about it. Okay. Now, let's go with Frederick. So, Frederick, how'd you factor the second denominator? The big X, but what factors did you get just for time's sake?
10 and negative 2.
So, x plus 10 and x minus 2. Good. Then got the negative 6 up top. So, now to get our least common denominator. All right, remember, it's a what factors do I have, and I don't need to rewrite any repeats. All right, so let's go with Peyton. What'd you get for your least common denominator? Mm-hmm. Good. So in other words, you look between both denominators and you just write out all the factors, and you don't need to write out that repeat. So since x minus 2 is seen twice, you only need to write it once. So that means both of my fractions are going to have this denominator. And guys, since multiplication is commutative, it doesn't matter if the factors are in order or not. If you wrote them in a different order, it doesn't matter. All right. Now we're playing the what's missing game between our original to our new. So let's go, Alexis. For the first fraction, so the purple one up top, what do I need to multiply to the top and the bottom to get my denominator? So in other words, what's Go. Sorry. Go. Here. Keep going. Keep going. That was my fault.
You're right. It's x plus 10.
Yeah, it's x plus 10. Yeah. Because you're looking at what's missing from that denominator to get this denominator. That's all you got to do. So you'll multiply the top and the bottom by x plus 10. I wasn't going to correct you. I was just about to say something else, but you're good. You're good. So this would be x times x plus 10. All right. What would the other one be? Let's go Tyreek. So what do I multiply to the second fraction? What's it missing?
X plus 2.
X plus 2. Good. So I multiply by x plus 2 over x plus 2. This will be negative 6 times x plus 2. Now, last thing you're going to do is you're going to distribute for both of them. So we don't have to do any fancy box methods. It's just a distribution. And I'm going to write it all as one fraction. So this would be x squared plus 10x minus 6x minus 12 all over my common denominator. So all I did was combine the two fractions because remember, if you have common denominators, you can do that. Oops, I forgot the x right here. Combine my like terms, which are just the two x's. So this would be x squared plus 4x minus 12 all over that common denominator. Now, most of you guys got to this, all right? So most of y'all got here and then stopped. But remember, you got to take it a step further if you can. Because remember, at this point, it's like if you got 12 over 24, you got to simplify it, all right? If you can. Sometimes you can't. But if this factors, which it does, factor it, cross out what you have both in the top and the bottom, just like we did last week. All right. So I'm just going to do a quick factor on this because I know y'all are fairly comfortable with big X. So this would be x plus 6 over x minus 2 all over this. What crosses? What crosses? Good. X minus 2s are gone. So I'm left with x plus 6 over x plus 2, x plus 10. Now, again, if you got here, I'm happy. All right. If you wanted to take it a step further, you could box the bottom. You didn't have to, but if you did, it would have been x squared plus 12x plus 20 over x plus 6. But if you got here, Miss Murphy is a happy camper. All right, any questions on that? All right, so here's what we're going to do for the last 20 or so minutes of class. So we're going to kind of do those task sorts like we did on Friday. So, but this is going to be with adding and subtracting. They're actually easier than the ones that we did for the notes. Okay. Your goal is to at least get 2 or 3 done. So exactly like last week where you did pretty much what you just did for that one problem that we just did. All right. Raise your hand when you guys think you got an answer. I'll check, and then I'll give you a new card. All right. So we're going to be doing that pretty much until the end of class. So for like the next 15 or so minutes, just so you guys get a little bit more practice with this. So go ahead and go to your group.